So I would like to invite Hugh Jeanvaux, participant from Circles Sudbury, and Dana Wilson, Manager of Health Equity, Public Health Sudbury and Districts. Welcome. Thank you for coming to Council. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, members of Sudbury City Council. I'm pleased to be here with Hugh Jeanvaux to speak about the Circles Sudbury Initiative. In 2017, Public Health Sudbury and Districts was awarded one of the province's local poverty reduction fund grants, totaling $217,000 to support the introduction of 3 linked programs into the City of Greater Sudbury: Circles, Leader Training, and Bridges Out of Poverty. Public Health Sudbury and Districts was lead agency on the proposal with support from 6 partner agencies, with the main goals of the grant being to increase economic security among individuals and families in our community, and to adapt the programming to meet the needs of our unique community context, including our Indigenous and Francophone community members. The Circles program originated in the United States, but has been operating in Canada since 2006, with 16 sites currently operating across 9 communities in Ontario, with an additional 1 scheduled to launch this year in Cornwall. This diagram illustrates how the 3 programs work together. Bridges Out of Poverty, featured on the left side of the diagram, is a training initiative designed to raise awareness about the societal factors that influence poverty and about the realities of living in low income. The ultimate goal of Bridges Out of Poverty is to inspire compassion and a sustained commitment to poverty reduction action across communities. This training is free and open to anyone in the community, and to date, we have trained nearly 1,000 people from across over 110 agencies in our community, as well as the general public. Leader Training, featured on the right side of the diagram, is a program to support individuals living in low income. The program covers a variety of topics, including budgeting and money tips, relationships, self-care, communication, and networking. Leader Training also supports participants while they develop individual action plans to exit poverty based on their interests and aspirations. Participating in Leader Training is a requirement to join the Circles program, which brings us finally to the Circles program in the center of the diagram, which works by creating intentional relationships between participants living in low income who have graduated from Leader Training and community volunteers. Participants in the Circles program are referred to as leaders because they're leading their own journey out of poverty. And community volunteers are referred to as allies because their role is to walk alongside leaders while they move ahead with their plans. Circles is designed to build on the social capital of participants by fostering links to community resources, bonding with peers, and bridging to people of different income levels and cultural backgrounds. All 3 of these elements are needed to support leaders as they work to exit poverty. The Circles program recognizes that getting out of poverty doesn't happen overnight, and so is modeled on a longer-term approach designed to produce sustainable results for participants. The ultimate goal of the program is economic self-sufficiency, and so the Circles Canada model provides a window of 18 to 48 months for participants in the program while they work to achieve their personal plans to get there, which occurs primarily through education and employment pathways. All leaders, allies, and staff meet for regularly scheduled sessions 3 times per month. Group meetings begin with a shared meal of dinner, followed by programming tailored to the interests of leaders to support them in moving forward with their action plans. Programming also focuses on supporting allies to build their capacity to support leaders in a non-judgmental and compassionate way. Examples of topics covered in the Circles program sessions include relationship building, networking, SMART goals, empowerment and self-advocacy, motivational interviewing, and allyship. Participants are also invited to bring their children, and transportation is provided. Child programming is included that focuses on resiliency, mindfulness, and fun. In addition to group meetings, one-on-one meetings and check-ins occur regularly between leaders and allies, as well as between leaders and staff members. The program is about building community at all levels, as these program elements are essential to foster relationships and to create an inclusive and welcoming environment for everybody. But Circles works not only at an individual and family level, but also at a broader community level with support from the Community Steering Committee dedicated to overseeing this initiative. Over the past 2 years, the Partners to End Poverty Steering Committee, which meets monthly, has grown from 6 to 16 partner agencies. This has included the creation of Indigenous and Francophone advisories to ensure the cultural relevance of this initiative. Community-level barriers identified by Circles participants while they move ahead with their personal plans are brought to the steering committee for collective discussions to identify ways to address these barriers for Circles participants, and also how these challenges can be addressed to benefit the 21,000 other people here in Greater Sudbury who are living in low income. Since launching the Leader Training Program, which is the precursor to Circles, we've delivered 9 sessions in the community with 85 individuals in collaboration with 5 partner host sites. We're currently preparing to offer our 10th session in April and are also working with the Tikmashing and Anishinaabe First Nation to offer leader training in community. To date, we've just passed our 2-year anniversary of the Circles program in February, and since the beginning of the Circles Sudbury program here, 28 leaders have joined the program along with their 33 children, and 56 Circles allies have been recruited to support. Circles programming has benefited from the support of 3 partner host sites along the way. As mentioned previously, Circles leaders strive to attain economic self-sufficiency within an 18 to 48-month timeframe. Circles staff support leaders while they explore and develop short and long-term goals. And in looking at our Circles leaders' long-term goals, over half identified are related to education. Examples include obtaining their Ontario secondary school diploma or pursuing post-secondary education. And 36% of goals identified are directly related to employment. Circles leaders break down long-term goals into short-term SMART goals, which are concrete steps that can be accomplished within a 6-month time frame. Goals identified by our leaders include financial tasks like creating a budget, tasks related to transportation like getting a driver's license, employment skills like completing a business plan, and education tasks like completing a school or bursary application to attend post-secondary training. And here's a quick snapshot of some demographic characteristics of individuals who have participated in leader training and Circles. And through our experience with the program, we've come to learn about the hopes and aspirations of each individual on their journey to exit poverty. To give you a bit more personal look at some of our leaders, this video features the stories and hopes of 3 participants connected with the Circles Sudbury initiative.
Hi, my name is Raven. I've been in Sudbury for 7 years. After college, had my son, got into domestic violence, got into postpartum depression. It was really, really bad. Couldn't take care of my kids, had to send them away. Had to go to treatment because of the postpartum depression, which led to drugs and alcohol addiction.
Well, my name's Hugh, and I am on ODSP, mainly for anxiety issues and depression.
I'm Lynn Samard McMurray, and I'm a wife and a mom of 3 kids. My husband and I talked about having a family, and we got pregnant. Not too long after that, Ken lost his job, and we were suggested to get put on the housing list because rent was crazy expensive. I didn't grow up in social housing, so I had no clue what it was, and when I moved to Rumble 9 years ago, that is definitely not where I wanted to go. There was a stigma, and there still is a stigma about people living there, whether you have mental health issues or, anxiety or single mom or whatever. The thing is, I wish other people would understand. Number one, we're all human beings, and I think we should be treated with respect, regardless of our story.
Now I know my mom is my biggest support in the entire world. I don't know where I'd be without her. Growing up, it's literally just been always me and her. Having her by my side, she gives me the strength and the energy, and she's very encouraging and very super supporting. She's my greatest support ever, and I love her so much.
So I have this amazing mentor. She's been my mentor for just over a year now. Annette Roshinsky is from Social Planning Council and NOAA Community Hub, and she's helped me formalize our tenants group. She's helped me write grants for the garden. She helped me navigate some of the formal words and the political stuff about it. So that's pretty exciting.
When my son had passed away, our city councilor, Jocelyn Landry Altman, had actually got a bus to drive all the people from where I live on Louis Street all the way out to New Sudbury for the funeral. So, I mean, it really meant a lot, not only to myself, which it just meant that I had a whole bunch of support, but also it meant a lot to Louis Street itself, that they were there to be able to support me, and it was just simply amazing.
We're all human beings. We're all the same. We all bleed the same blood. We all deserve the same type of compassion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a short snapshot of the programs and partnerships that make up the Circles Initiative, and some key highlights on the breadth of community and partner involvement in this initiative. But of course, what better way for you to learn more about the Circles Initiative and the spirit of what we're working towards than hearing directly from one of our participants in the program, Hugh. Hugh was in our very first Circles Leader Training program and one of our inaugural leaders in the Circles program when we launched it in February 2018.
Thank you. Good evening. Just a little bit of background about myself. I've had general and social anxiety since I was in grade school, and depression since I was in high school. Despite this, I was able to get an education. I have a bachelor's in physics and a master's in theological studies. However, as I worked throughout the late 2000s, I became severely depressed and would get sick every time I left the house. I did try counseling and to help myself, but eventually I had to give up working and applied for ODSP about 10 years ago. I never stopped trying to better myself, and I wanted better for my family. However, I had no confidence in myself. Eventually, I thought I could start small, and I started volunteering around the community, and I loved it. As I was about to apply for a job about 5 years ago, my son had passed away. And I took this really hard, and things went back to the way they were, with me suffering from severe depression and anxiety took over with PTSD. And that's the state I was in before joining the Circles program. I saw an ad on Facebook about the leader training program in the fall of 2017. I thought it'd be great for my brother-in-law, as he was on ODSP also, and I thought he could learn about budgeting his money and other life skills. He didn't want to do it alone, so I offered to go with him for support. He agreed to go, and we started the leader training program in November 2017. I honestly didn't think I would get much out of the program since I already knew how to budget money. Most people do in my situation. Often there's just simply not enough money to make ends meet, and budgeting becomes deciding what is essential to go without each month. But after joining the program, I soon learned that budgeting was just one aspect of leader training. For example, every meeting, we'd have something new and good to say in front of everyone. I was extremely shy at first, so I skipped over my turn a few times, but soon realized it was a safe space, and eventually I started opening up to the group. We learned about SMART goals and how to use them effectively in life. By the time I graduated from the program, I had gained some confidence and met some friends. I had also had established a major goal of getting a job within a couple of years, and with many SMART goals to help me get there. In February 2018, the Circles program opened with its first meeting at Swakamock Native Friendship Center. The group was bigger now, and the allies had joined our group. Although I became shy once again, I opened up quickly. We all have a meal together at the start of each session. And then we also do some exercises about getting to know each other within the group. Eventually, I got partnered with 2 allies, and the allies were so supportive right from the beginning. I never really had that kind of support from anyone before, besides my wife. They were neutral, but cared about my well-being, and if I needed advice on subjects that my allies didn't know, I could always ask other allies or coaches in Circles. It's hard to navigate services around the city. I had a hard time finding a family doctor. I'd been on a waiting list for years. I had a review for my ODSP in June 2018, but had no family doctor. I'd canceled going to Circles meeting at one time because I was just stressed out about the situation. And within a day, the coaches reached out to their networks and got me an appointment to see a doctor. I went to the appointment and I finally had a family doctor who not only completed the forms for me, but actually listened to me. And after a couple visits with my new family doctor, I had got the right medications that I'm still on today. My allies and coaches encouraged me to continue to make goals to move ahead. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in life, but I knew I loved helping people. I continued to volunteer in the community, teaching lightsaber dueling classes to youth, and it's pretty popular. I also started a Star Wars YouTube channel, and all of this was just to get me out of my comfort zone to manage my anxiety. Putting my face on YouTube for the world to see is not easy for someone like myself. I also was encouraged to open up my own lightsaber dueling academy as a business, and I had applied to the Regional Business Center and worked on a business plan to apply for the grant, and it went very well. Unfortunately, in the end, I learned that I was not eligible for the grant because I was on ODSP. And normally, this kind of letdown would have put me into depression, but my allies and the whole Circles group were very supportive and encouraged me to not give up, and I didn't. It was then that I knew I was in a group that had my back, and it felt great to be in a group and to have friends. They became like an extended family. The atmosphere at Circles is like a family reunion every week. Everyone's happy to see everyone else. And having childcare is also very helpful for those of us with children and allows for relationships across generations. I've gained a lot of confidence since joining the program. Even when things haven't worked out, I was able to look at the positive side instead of the negative like I used to. Having a place to go every week and having a sense of belonging has helped me have a different outlook in life. Even my family's noticed a huge change in me over the last couple of years. They say I'm happier and more positive. My anxiety issues have improved so much that I actually volunteered to speak here today in front of everyone because I believe in the program and I believe that this program has changed my life for the better. And I finally have hope for the future that someday I will get out of poverty. And the benefits of Circles has also had a positive impact on my overall health. I take better care of myself. I gave up on sugary drinks, and I've cut back on smoking with the intention of quitting in the spring of 2020, which is coming up very soon. I bought exercise equipment and actually do use them every day. My mental health has also improved, and I'm on medication from my family doctor that does help me manage my anxiety, and I've not thought about depression for well over a year. Since joining Circles, I've already made big strides in my financial security. My YouTube channel brings in a good amount of money every month. I also opened up a merchandise shop that goes with my channel, which also brings in money every month. And just recently, November 1st, I finally got a job working at NISA as a peer support worker. With my income gone up over the past year, my ODSP benefits have gone down, and soon I will be off ODSP. And that itself is a great feeling and brings even more confidence and self-esteem to myself. So the future looks bright for my family and myself. Working at NISA fulfills my need to help others, as also to continue volunteering in the community. And along with my YouTube channel, merchandise store, poverty will soon be in my past. My wife and I even opened up our first savings account in November and are putting money away for a down payment for a house. And I may still even try to open up a lightsaber academy in the future when we're off ODSP. So my hope for the future is to become an ally in the Circles program so I can help others the way I've been helped. Sometimes we just need some guidance and encouragement to better ourselves, and that's what the Circles program has done for me. Okay.
Just one more slide.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that, Hugh. As you can see from Hugh's story and experiences from the Circles program, the program has had positive impacts on the lives of participants and their families. From a public health perspective, our support for initiatives like Circles is informed by the overwhelming evidence of the powerful link between income and health. And simply, we know that income alone is the single strongest predictor of health, and that health follows a clear income gradient where health improves at every step up the income ladder. Data locally, provincially, and globally shows that the poorer you are, the more likely you are to have health risks in your daily life, such as not having enough nutritious food, not having a safe, affordable housing, the more likely you are to have a higher risk of preventable health conditions, and the more likely you are to die prematurely. Locally, nearly 21,000 people, or 12.8% of the population here in Greater Sudbury, live in poverty. Across Sudbury and districts, 1 in 5 children live in poverty. At Public Health Sudbury and districts, we're committed to supporting initiatives like Circles that are premised on intersectoral action, where we work collectively as a community across sectors and agencies to advance health equity. As a next step, we're continuing to have discussions with the Partners to End Poverty Steering Committee to explore opportunities for program sustainability after the funds for this pilot project end this June. Collaborative efforts to address poverty and its impacts, such as the Circles Initiative, are foundational to giving individuals the opportunity to meet their basic needs, to live with dignity, and to have equal opportunities to achieve their full health potential. Whole communities benefit when poverty is addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council at all? Or Councillor Landry-Altman? Okay.
Thank you very much. What a very touching presentation. I've had the pleasure of knowing Hughie for 8 years. And we've done quite a few things together. But I admire you very much. I admire anyone who is able to pick it up and do great things with their life, to have the vision, but mostly to have the courage. So kudos to you. Kudos to the Circles program. I was able to attend the graduation 2 years ago. And this program is, it's inspiring. It's inspiring for the people that are there and for the people that had the opportunity to go as well. Ward 12 has been identified by the health unit as being 36% deficient in services due to the demographic and due to the poverty that exists within the ward. So programs like this are intrinsic to the success of that neighborhood, of the neighborhoods that to which they are addressed. I read the report, and Hughie was also very, he's humble because he's also a civic awards winner. His volunteering has made the difference in the lives of quite a few young children. And I can't disclose his identity. He volunteers in one other program, and I can't disclose the role you play because, well, I can't. But suffice it to say that because of your involvement, our other program is very, very successful. So thank you very much. I read the list of speakers that you have. And I was very much, when I saw Revenue Canada, I thought, of course, that makes so much sense. Your list is very, very interesting, and it's very encompassing of everything that a person can need. So congratulations for this program. I think you build resiliency, and could not have said it better, Hughie. You were very humble in what you had to say, and it takes courage to come here and say what you had to say. So I applaud you. The next thing I would like to know is, you said you've trained, or at least 1,000 people in the community have participated. I looked at your list and I didn't see the Francophone school boards. I saw the 2 Anglophone school boards. Where are they? And the reason I bring that up is I think that this program could play a role within the schools themselves. And I think it would be a character building and level the playing field for other kids and create that compassion that is unfortunately so sorely missing in some schools and with school life as the young kids know it now. So would you know why, or?
Yes.
Thank you for that. Through you, Mr. Mayor. We are in exploration right now with looking at the program in French. We have funding for one Circles site, and that's all we ever had funding for. And the site itself runs in English, but we do have bilingual staff and bilingual materials. And we have been offering Bridges Out of Poverty in French as well as English. And so we have been and always have been exploring those opportunities But the Circles program allows for multiple sites within a community, and we just have the funding for the one pilot. So that's sort of where we're at this point. But certainly it's certainly of great interest.
Can you see, through you, Mr. Mayor, can you see where this program would be offered in schools to the students? Is there a possibility at bringing it down to their
For you, Mr. Mayor, the possibility, absolutely, currently leader training is offered in adult education settings. So it's been offered at the Nisswakmak Native Alternative School, at St. Albert Adult Learning Center, as well as Barrydown College. So absolutely, it's certainly a good fit, and as well as with our local employment support agencies. So our Spark Employment Services, as well as the YMCA Employment Services, have all hosted leader training sites. So it's certainly a good fit. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councillor Lapierre.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So not to put you on the spot, but the first presentation you did for the health unit, I was very impressed. And that's why I wanted to invite you here so that council can hear this for two reasons. We hear a lot of the other side of the coin of things don't work and we need this and we need that and, you know, this is bad. But to hear how a funding program works and to have a lived experience explain to us the outcome, I'll put this into context, much to learn we have. So, I wanted to add grasshopper, but it didn't work. So it's so in saying that, I believe I can confirm with Dana, but the Circles teams is here in the audience. They were having their meeting this evening here at Tom Davies Square. So I want to thank them for being here in the audience with us. On top of that, on top of yourself, this presentation scored even better. So I just want to give you a heads up that you need to be ready for Ellen next. So I mean, you know, so. But in all serious note, I'm happy you were able to explain to us what this program is so that when we debate costs and we debate what to fund and what not and those different things, we now have a light at the end of the tunnel to see what the factual outcomes are. Because to read it on a piece of paper is good. To have a statistic is good. And that's what I have. But to have a lived experience, explain to us what it is, that's fantastic. And that's unsurmountable of what I can get. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Councillor Lapierre. Councillor Kerwin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Dana and Hughie, I don't think we truly appreciate the impact of this program when we just look at the data of the people who attend the sessions. I've known Hughie for quite a while, and we've actually shared in his journey through some pretty trying moments in life. And I think where Hughie has become inspirational, and I would assume that most of the other leaders are becoming inspirational, is with the people who don't attend the sessions, the people who are living with you in your community, in your neighborhood, who see you as an example of a person who has been successful in breaking the chains of poverty. So that if you were able to do it, and you were able to overcome some of the adversity that you faced, they can as well. And I think what I'm looking at here is we've really focused on the younger adults and the children, and absolutely we have to. But I think an interesting statistic is that 24% of the people are over 40 who are living in poverty. And we're going to have more of our older adults as they're living an awful lot longer. And unfortunately, many of them start off as a senior in poverty. And some of the policies and some of the elements of your program that help younger people find economic freedom in their lives can really be beneficial to the people in their 60s and 70s who still have an awful lot of life left in them, and they need some help and some support to find sources of income that will help them break out of poverty as well. So it's this is one of those programs that I think will have a spin-off that we will never be able to totally appreciate. But it's those little moments in life that people say, well, yeah, I don't really know why I was inspired, but I saw Huey do this. And Huey worked with my son or my grandson in this program and taught them how to use swords. And it becomes, well, where did Huey live, and how did Huey do this? Well, Huey did it because he had support. And so that inspiration, you can't quantify it. You can't put a dollar value on it. And so, yes, we're going to be looking at a resolution coming up. And I think this is the kind of program that if we don't get outside funding for, we have to make sure it continues as a municipality, because we can't afford to have so many people in our community who need the inspiration that Huey and the other leaders are providing. So thank you, Huey. We're looking forward to watching this journey, and I know that we will continue to stay in touch.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Landry-Altman.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor McIntosh.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
First round.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you to all your supporters that have joined you here this evening. And thank you to Councillor Lapierre for inviting you. I'm interested in the Bridges Out of Poverty program, and I'm wondering about, I guess it's a question for our staff, or to arrange for participation of council to be able to participate in a workshop of this nature. I think we can all have our awareness raised. And since we make here the decisions that impact everyone in the city, I think it's important that we also become more aware of what it is to live in poverty. So I don't think I need a motion. I'm just asking that staff look into making arrangements for us to participate in a workshop, be it a half-day or a full-day workshop, to raise our own awareness about poverty. Thank you.
Councillor Landry-Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I did forget was to plug your Lightsaber Addict YouTube. So everyone click on it, become a friend, because the more subscribers you have, the better it is for you, is it not? And you have to see the t-shirts that he has designed. The design is phenomenal. So that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Lapierre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So maybe through you to Ms. Dana. So the funding for this program that is currently there, is it coming to an end? And if so, do we know when?
For you, Mr. Mayor, yes, the funding was a 3-year grant from the Ontario Trillium, funneled through the Ontario Trillium Foundation from the Local Poverty Reduction Fund. It ends in June 2020, so this June, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Landry-Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there another opportunity for another intake? Is this program being renewed at all, or to date we don't know?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the Ontario Poverty Reduction Fund had 3 cycles with the previous provincial government, and at this point there is no Local Poverty Reduction Fund grant available.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Kerwin.
Through you to Dana. So June, the funding ends. We're going to be looking at a business case for funding in 2021. What happens between June and the end of the year?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're currently exploring opportunities at Public Health Sudbury and districts, as well as across our 16 partner agencies through the Partners to End Poverty Steering Committee to explore different opportunities of in-kind, cost-sharing, like that, to see what components we can all support to encourage the initiative to ensure sustainability.
I guess as a follow-up, what kind of funding would you need to bridge that 6 months for the rest of the year? I guess it depends on how successful you are in your deliberations, but
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we approximately $200,000 to run the Circles programming with staff and food, childminding per year. So 6 months, I would assume, would be roughly half of that.
okay, thank you.
Councillor Lapierre?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I don't know if this would be an appropriate time, but I'm wondering if I could table a request that we write a letter from this council to the Trillium Foundation in order to prompt them to continue the funding for this program. So maybe through you to the clerk procedurally, is that something I can just table now, or does it need to be a formal motion?
Mr. Clerk?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. That could either be added to the motion and amended in on a friendly basis, or it could be done separately.
So thank you. So I think they're two separate things. One's asking for a business case and budget and stuff like that. This one would be political advocacy that would need to happen now since the program ends in June.
So I think it, let's have a formal motion. A show of hands would have been just as well, but let's have a formal motion because I believe it'll be successful, and be happy to send that letter of advocacy.
Okay.
Yep.
You want to continue questions?
Okay. So thank you very much, and we'll I guess we'll conduct our vote on the letter of support, but I'm sure you'll be successful. Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay. We'll have the clerk read the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved and seconded that the mayor be directed to provide a letter to the Trillium Foundation requesting continued funding for the local poverty reduction fund.
Okay. Councillor Cormier.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would propose a friendly amendment just to copy our local members of provincial parliament on the correspondence, please.
Okay. I'm sure that's a friendly amendment. Okay, so I will call the question. All in favor? Thank you very much, and it is carried. Very happy to receive that direction. And so next, as we did alter our agenda, I will ask that we bring M2 forward, or deal with M2 at this point. And I will have the clerk read M2.
Moved and seconded, whereas the Circles Initiative represents the first comprehensive intersectoral community approach to poverty reduction in Greater Sudbury. And whereas the Circles Initiative was launched in 2017 following receipt of one of Ontario's local poverty reduction fund grants totaling $217,000 in late 2016. And whereas the Circles Initiative includes 3 linked programs, including Bridges Out of Poverty, not directly funded through the grant, Circles Leader Training and Circles, which offer a novel approach to poverty reduction based on principles of social mobility, social inclusion, and social capital. And whereas the Circles Initiative is strongly aligned with both the provincial public health focus on the social determinants of health and health inequities and the local population health priorities of the City of Greater Sudbury. And whereas the planning, implementation, and sustainability of these programs is supported by an intersectoral partnership of 16 agencies in Greater Sudbury that form the Partners to End Poverty Steering Committee, of which the City of Greater Sudbury is a partner. And whereas the Public Health Sudbury and District's Ontario Local Poverty Reduction Fund grant is scheduled to end in June 2020, and in order for the Greater Sudbury community to experience the full benefits of the Circles Initiative, it is imperative that the program continue beyond the end of the granting period, and third-party funding and resources will be required. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Greater Sudbury directs staff to prepare a business case that will ensure the ongoing sustainability of the Circles program in collaboration with sector partners in Greater Sudbury for consideration during the 2021 budget deliberations.
Councillor Lapierre.
Thank you. So I'm hoping after the presentation that we saw and the impact that a successful program has like this, that we at least look at the business case to bring it forward. In speaking with Mr. Jakes as well as Mr. Campbell, they see the link directly into our wheelhouse here at the city and how this works. So if you guys had any questions for them, they're here tonight for you as well. So hopefully we get your support for this business case.
Okay. Councillor Kerwin.
Thank you. I too speak in support of this, but I'm going to ask for some direction from our clerk as well. This business case isn't going to even be needed if the program doesn't survive June. And as I look at the calendar, I see that there is a public health meeting on May 21st and a council meeting on June 9th. How would we give direction to staff to work with public health submarine districts to try and find sources of funding to keep this going at least until the end of 2020, so that on June 9th, if necessary, they would be able to bring back to this council a request for bridge funding for the balance of this year for whatever's needed, whether it's an extra 10 or 20 or 30,000. And I don't know whether to add this to as an amendment to the end of this, or if this becomes a direction to council, because I think if we lose the continuity during the June to December period, it may be difficult to pick it back up if we pass the business case. And it may just be a matter of a small amount of money. It may be that we don't need any. We may have enough funding from public health. We may have enough funding from the other partners, but at least this would allow us on June 9th, I believe it ends at the end of June. So on June 9th, this council would be able to approve an emergency bridge financing to keep it going. So I'm looking for some direction. Is that a separate motion? Is it an amendment? Is it just a direction to council or to staff? Or is it just an understanding that that's what they would do? Because you don't want to find out in July that they didn't have enough money to continue.
Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My thought is that it would be simply a direction to staff That would require consensus, as I suspect this would require more than 2 hours of work in accordance with the procedure bylaw. So I think it would be done simply through a show of hands and direction to staff to perhaps return with a report in June and potentially work with the health unit and others reviewing funding sources. Thank you.
Just a further clarification. If this could be understood that the direction is that they don't have to have their report done by the end of April to get it on the agenda, that this might be a report that is only triggered to come to council after the May 21st public health meeting, because it may be on that meeting that the public health Sudbury districts makes a decision to fund part of it, or they may have to go through it. So this may not be a long report that comes in. It may just be that, if necessary, we would expect something on June 9th, and it may have to be as an addendum or something that comes in at the last minute. So is that a possibility that be part of the direction, now that they've heard what I'm asking for?
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So absolutely, I think staff are hearing, and you know, we will go back and review this video, but I would defer to Mr. Jakes if he requires further direction, but I think likely council should do this by a show of hands ultimately.
Okay. Mr. Jakes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're quite clear we'll work with Ms. Wilson and her team, as well as with public health. We already have a well-established relationship with the public health unit, so we'll work with them on those timelines, figure out what funding availability is there, what can be secured in the meantime, and Mr. Campbell and myself will ensure that a report gets done that accurately reflects what's needed to carry the program to the end of the year through the business case process.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So I guess based on the advice from the clerk, we need a show of hands to ask for that report that would be prepared for June 9th. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. So it is carried. And so we have the motion M2 that has been read. Any further questions or comments on M2? And that is asking for the business case in preparation of the 2021 budget. Okay, I don't see any further questions, so I'll call the question on M2. All in favor? And that also is unanimous. Thank you very much. It is carried. Okay. So based on the alteration of our agenda, which was agreed by council at the start of the meeting, we'll go to Councillor Cormier, motion M1, Project Manitou. We'll have the clerk read the motion.
Moved and seconded, whereas the City of Greater Sudbury, the Province of Ontario through the More Homes, More Choice Act 2019, and the Government of Canada through the National Housing Strategy of 2018 have recognized the need for affordable and high-quality housing for seniors and those seeking below-market rent. And whereas the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation has implemented a national housing co-investment fund designed to encourage energy-efficient, accessible, and socially inclusive housing for mixed income, mixed tenure, and mixed-use affordable housing units. And whereas the National Housing Co-Investment Fund requires that approved projects provide at least 30% of total units that must be less than 80% of the median market rent, maintained for a minimum of 20 years. And whereas 2356268 Ontario Limited has received zoning approval to construct a total of 826 multiple dwelling units on the parcel of land legally described as pins 735830089, 735830097, 735830045, 735830609, 735830088, and 735840210, and part of pin 735830017, 735830076, 735830628, 735830604, 735830058, 735830043, and 735830603, lots 3 and 4, concession 3, Township of McKim. And whereas 2356268 Ontario Limited is proposing to construct a project that includes 248 affordable housing units, 476 low-cost senior housing units, and 102 market units. And whereas part of this property is located in the Sudbury Development Charges exempt area as defined in bylaw 2019-100, being a bylaw of the City of Greater Sudbury with respect to development charges. And whereas 2356268 Ontario Limited wishes to apply to the National Housing Co-Investment Fund, and whereas the application to this fund will be significantly strengthened with an indication of municipal support. And whereas this project has the potential to create significant number of construction jobs in the community and generate significant tax revenue for the City of Greater Sudbury. And whereas pursuant to bylaw 2019-100, a bylaw of the City of Greater Sudbury with respect to development charges, Council may by resolution authorize an exemption from development charges for affordable housing as defined within that bylaw. And whereas pursuant to the Development Charges Act 1997 and bylaw 2019-100, Council may authorize an agreement for a deferral of development charges otherwise payable. Therefore, be it resolved, A, the 248 affordable housing units proposed to be constructed on the parcel of land legally described as pins 735830089, 735830097, 735830045, 735830609, 735830088, and 735840210, and part of pins 735830017, 735830076, 735830628, 735830604, 735830058, 735830043, and 735830603, lots 3 and 4, concession 3, Township of McKim, as part of the project development, be exempt from the development charges provided the project receives full approval for funding under the National Housing Co-Investment Fund, and provided further that the 248 units meet the requirements for an affordable housing project as set out in bylaw 2019-100 for a period of no less than 20 years. B, the treasurer be authorized to set the terms of and execute an agreement with 2356268 Ontario Limited, which provides for the terms of the exemption. And resolved further that the treasurer be authorized to set the terms of and execute an agreement with 2356268 Ontario Limited pursuant to Section 27 of the Development Charges Act 1997 and Section 17 of Bylaw 2019-100 for the deferral of development charges for 20 years from the date of issuance of the building permit with respect to the 476 low-cost senior housing units and 102 market units proposed to be constructed on the parcel of land legal described as pins 735830089, 735830097, 735830045, 735830609, 735830088, and 735840210, and part of pins 735830017, 735830076, 735830628, 735830604, 735830058, 735830043, and 735830603, lots 3 and 4, concession 3, Township of McKim, conditional upon 248 affordable housing units being constructed on the same lands and continuing to qualify as an affordable housing project within the meaning of bylaw 2019-100 during that period. And resolve further that if any aspect of the project is changed or amended without consultation and prior approval of the City of Greater Sudbury, the development charge exemption referenced in this motion is automatically revoked, and any development charges that would be or would otherwise have been paid will be due in full by 2356268 Ontario Limited.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk, and that's what happens when the Chair of Planning prepares the motion. Councillor Cormier.
Thank you, Your Worship. Actually, full credit must be shared with our legal team. I want to thank Ms. Daw and Ms. Gravel in particular from our legal department, Mr. Chairman, so all kidding aside, I do want to thank them for that. I will say, however, my version of the motion fit on one page. Then it had to go to legal. So that's the way that works. So having said all of that, Mr. Chairman, it's a very legalese way of doing this, because the way our bylaws work and the way the Development Charge Act works, that is the way it has to be done. But what it's basically doing, Mr. Chairman, is trying to incentivize and encourage, through our existing levers and legislation, the development of primarily affordable housing, which is the main objective here, and seniors' affordable housing, more specifically, in what will be, hopefully, a mixed-use development of a very large scale that is identified in a lot of our studies and our official plan and our downtown master plan as being something significantly contributory to the health of the city in general, and specifically our downtown area, by intensifying the population. From an environmental perspective, this is classic infilling, if you will, from simply a land use perspective. But more importantly, the proposal, Your Worship, strives to be one of, if not the most environmentally responsible builds that we would have seen perhaps in all of Canada, utilizing the latest technologies and advancements with respect to heating, heat recapture, water usage. The list goes on. It's an extensively developed proposal in that respect, and one of the key components that allows the proponent to apply under the CMHC program that's referenced in the motion. The other thing I'll point out, Mr. Mayor, is that this is not a cash contribution that is being sought. It is something that is being sought to strengthen the CMHC application, and the CMHC application itself makes reference to the application being strengthened by a show of municipal support, such as deferral of development charges. They actually go that specifically with respect to that CMHC application. So, bottom line, I feel the city is protected with this motion from the perspective of, if we don't get what is being proposed, then no harm, no foul, there's no DC exemption. If the CMHC application is unsuccessful, and I do hope that it is, obviously the project will not be proceeding under those terms, and there won't be a need, obviously, for this DC exemption. So that's the way, the reason it's worded the way it is that this ultimately can be a win-win-win situation on a lot of fronts. So I hope I've encapsulated the spirit of a very complex legalese motion, Mr. Chair, and broken it down in a way that makes sense, and I do hope my colleagues can support what I believe is a very worthwhile initiative for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cormier. Councillor Vagnini.
Thank you. Thank you, through you, Your Worship. I support, is it possible to turn my microphone down a little bit? I support Councillor Cormier on this. I think it is a very worthwhile opportunity, and I think, when we talk about, thank you. When we talk about going forward and what the next phase looks like, this is part of that next phase. So you do have my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Senior Reddy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also will support this motion. What I like about this motion is that we're talking about intensification in our downtown core, where there'll be more people walking and having access to amenities. So I will definitely be supporting this motion. Thank you, Councillor Cormier, for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Councillor Montpellier.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I've had fairly lengthy conversations, and this is an exciting project as it's technically evolved, and as Councillor Cormier says, there'll be nothing like it in Canada, and it's going to be built here in Sudbury. So I'm very glad that Councillor Cormier brought it up. And could you read that motion again? There was a word or two that I missed.
Thank you, Councillor Montpellier. Any other questions or comments from Council? I would just like to say that, since becoming aware of this project,